Hello and welcome to the common room of my dorm building. I cannot use my room because my dad is in there right now, but it's been a week. It's been a week that I've been here, and I does not feel like it, but it's been a very good and busy week. So I left on Monday, and about 30 minutes before leaving for the flight, I burnt my foot. I burnt the top of my foot because I spilled boiling water on it because I was making pasta for breakfast and I wasn't being very careful. And then, it was fine. I thought it wasn't going to be a big problem. It just might hurt a little bit. And they made me take my shoes off at security. And I noticed after I took my shoes off at security that my sock was wet. And then I realized, okay, awesome. So the burn blistered and then popped, and now we're just hanging out with an open wound on my foot. It's since been 4 days and it's still pretty bad. It's quite red. I was thinking that I might include a blurred picture of, the open wound on my foot. And I figured, no, first of all, no one wants to see that. Second of all, I don't think that's really, I don't really want to include that. So that's been a big consideration. But one thing that was really cool about the traveling is after so there were a lot of, this is not the cool part, we had a lot of airplane delays. In Sacramento, we were on the tarmac for an hour and a half, with the plane just not moving, which was pretty epic. But once we finally did the whole rigmarole of plane travel, and my dad leaving stuff on the plane because, obviously, we finally made it out of the tube station to get here. And it was snowing, which was pretty epic. Although it was very cool that it snowed, it does mean that it's been really cold here. Not really cold, just, it's been just below freezing. And that has been very uncomfortable because I think I just don't know how to dress warm. And I'm used to in Seattle, even when it's really cold, I don't spend a lot of time outside. But here, my transit time is a lot more. So we've been spending a lot more time outside, and it's been kind of difficult. My hands and feet are usually pretty numb. And my room is not warm enough. I think I might have an air leak that I need to figure out. Speaking of the dorms, they're English. They're not, it's a little, I'm trying to, how do they do, when you have an apartment listing and it's really small, so they call it cozy. I don't know it's historic. It's, well loved, but it is functional. And there's a sink in the room, which is really awesome. And I will be doing a room tour at some point, but not right now because it's not set up. I've been working a lot on decorating. I brought a lot of stuff from home, a lot of posters, not a lot of posters. Posters are the things I need. A lot of cards and postcards and bookmarks, things of that nature. And I've been spending some time putting the room together in that way. I got some lights. We went to IKEA the first day. The first day we were here, we went to IKEA to get a bunch of stuff, and actually we got evacuated from IKEA also. But then we went back after the evacuation was over. We think someone pulled the fire alarm. It's kind of unclear. But once we were let back into the IKEA, we got a bunch of lights. I got some string lights and a lamp, and of course pillow and blanket, which was pretty important for the first day. Also on the first day, we went to a Sainsbury's because there's one nearby, and I got a bunch of things that read to me as extremely British. I spent way too much time on British YouTube when I was at a very impressionable age, and so things like Ribena and orange chocolate or chocolate orange seem extremely not exotic, but just I've never really had the chance to engage with them. So that's been really fun. And Blue Tack, oh my god, I was so excited for Blue Tack, and my room is now held together with Blue Tack. Everything is held up with Blue Tack. So the first day was mostly just getting stuff for the dorm at IKEA and Sainsbury's and places of that ilk. Not that they're really of the same ilk. But the second day was my birthday, and I got to meet up with the UW people who are also on this program. There's 5 of us total. We went to like this little restaurant, and we were kind of under the impression that it was more of like a cafe. Turned out it was more of like a restaurant, so we did feel a little bit pressured to buy food, and we did. And then we didn't eat very much of it because nobody was hungry. So that was pretty awesome. But I also went to like an orientation event, and I met a lot of people from a lot of different places. A couple people from France, someone from Italy, a couple people from Germany. There were a lot of Americans, and within that there were a lot of Californians. You know, you can never really feel left out or, you know, out of place in a room when you're from California, because like every other person is always from California, particularly in Seattle. I feel like all of the UW students are either Washington or California. But since it was my birthday that day, I decided that I wanted to get Ethiopian food for dinner because I love Ethiopian food. And on the way to the place, because we walked, we saw a fox just like chilling in the road, or on the sidewalk, because it's like, I don't know, it just lives around here. It was very strange and exciting, quite frankly, to just like see a fox. But the next day, I have my notes here. The next day, we went to Pret. So some context. I went to England a couple years ago, and I had a whole list of things I wanted to do that were like stereotypical British things. I was really leaning into like, I wanted to like kind of make fun of England a little bit. And one of the things I wanted to do was go to Pret, and that was the only thing on the list I didn't do. It was a list of like 25 things, and the only thing I didn't do was go to Pret. We have since been to Pret about 3 times, and I'm rocking with Pret. And also on that third day, we went to Regent's Park and we walked around. We saw a lot of birds that were like, they were very similar to North American birds, but they were different enough that you could tell that they were different. And one of the ones we saw was the Eurasian coot, and I'm a really big fan of the American coot, like a really big fan. So I saw this bird that looked kind of like a coot, and I found out later it's a Eurasian coot. So that's pretty epic, and I think my new favorite UK bird is the Eurasian coot. We also went to the Sherlock Holmes Museum just because it was like there. It wasn't like we didn't seek it out, and that was really interesting. I don't quite understand why it exists, quite frankly, because it's just like a house with like some old furniture in it, but it was really cool because it was the type of old furniture that I really like, so I just thought it was really pretty. So that day was mostly touristy type stuff. And then the next day, we went to Pret again, obviously. People started to actually arrive in the dorm, which was new. It was very dead in here before that. And I went to like 4 orientation events, which were kind of a lot, quite overwhelming, I would say. I learned a lot about the libraries though. We have 17 at UCL, so I hope I make it to all 17. I don't actually think that's gonna happen because I think some of them are kind of far, but I've heard good things. I have yet to actually step foot in one. I don't even really know what they look like, but I'm excited. I've got books on hold at 2 of them. I'm trying to put books on hold at different libraries to force me to go to them. So it was cool to learn about that. There was also an affiliate mixer that night. Affiliate is their word for exchange student, kind of. So they had all of us, not all 450 of us were there, but it was like several hundred people. We had a little mixer that night, and we met so many people, like so many people. We sort of stayed in a group with the UW people a little bit, and people would kind of like come and go, and we'd meet them all together, and that was nice. We met a lot of people from, we met several people from Switzerland, one from Nepal, a lot not only from California, but specifically from UC Berkeley. I think I've met like 6 or 7. I think I've met quite a few Berkeley students, which has been very strange. But the thing that really matters that happened on this day was that we both learned about and encountered the wax body of this man named Jeremy Bentham. Now there's a lot of discourse / disagreement on what actually this thing is, but what people agree on is that it is his bones encased in wax. Now, A big discussion we had is how did they get the bones separate from the rest of his body? That really remains to be seen for me at least. And we heard that for like important council meetings, like for UCL, they will bring the wax thing into the room with them and he'll like sit at the table with them, which I think I would really like, because it's like, obviously it's gross, but I think the concept of like, we're just gonna do this kind of really stupid thing because it's what this guy asked for in his will, I think is really awesome. And then on day 5, I had my first encounter with the dining hall. Now, I was nervous about the dining hall going in because English food gets a bad rap, and I think it's deserved. The food was not very good. It wasn't like awful, definitely edible, didn't feel super nutritious though, but you know, I didn't have to make it, so I'm not gonna complain. But that day was our tourist day. We went down to City of Westminster. We saw, obviously, Big Ben. We saw Westminster Abbey. I think those were like the only 2 landmarks we saw that day because we were super tired. But on the bus, okay, I'm really excited about this. On the bus, we were stopped at a stoplight for like a really long time, and I was just kind of looking out the window, and I sort of like in the back of my head saw that this street corner looked really familiar, but I wasn't really thinking about it. And it was the street corner, and it was they had a sort of stand that was shut up and had like graffiti all over it. And I was just, you know, sort of very lightly thinking it looked familiar, and then it like hit me, and I turned to my left, and there was the McDonald's. This McDonald's is the former location of 84 Charing Cross Road, which is like the name of this book that I really like. So that was like really awesome, and I will totally be going back like for like a full looking at the McDonald's experience. There's also a plaque, but I just thought it was so crazy that it was like right there. We were just on the bus, and then it was like this like place that I've been thinking about. After doing all the touristy things, we then went to a pub, which I guess is also a touristy thing, and I learned about Appletiser, which is like Apfelschorle, but better, because it's not like watered down. It's basically just like sparkling apple juice, which I feel like is such a low bar, like such like a super common drink, but I thought it was really awesome and I really liked it a lot. And that finally brings us to day 6, which is today, which is Sunday. I should have been saying the days of the week and not the number of the days, but we're just gonna move past that. Today was crazy. Today I met up with someone that I've known for I think like 6 years. I meant to ask today and I forgot. We met online like 6 years ago, and she's lived in the UK the whole time, and I've lived in the United States the whole time, so we had never like fully met, and we actually met today, and it was pretty epic. We went to the giant London flea market. It took a really long time to get there, partially because the overground had problems. There was like, they said there was something over the tracks. I don't really know. But anyway, I bought this mug to put my toothbrush in, which was the only thing I got. We were there with some other people as well that I met yesterday, and they also bought some things. They bought some expensive things. Everything was extremely expensive there. Like, it was genuinely about 2 to 3 times as much as I would expect each of these items to cost. And that kind of brings us to the end of today. We went to a pub, and now I have to do, get this, homework. Classes have not yet started. They start tomorrow. Got my first one at 11 a.m. and I have like so much reading to do. I have 2 articles and a book, and I'm not going to be reading the book. I can't expect that they're expecting us to have read this book by tomorrow. So I'm gonna read the 2 articles and just leave it there. So yeah, week 1 reflections. It's weird that I'm here. I don't quite feel like I'm in London. I think because my brain is trying to like protect myself a little bit and like not feel like I've been like shaken babied. It definitely feels like that sometimes, but things are going pretty well. I've mostly got myself set up. I do feel a little bit like it's going to be really hard to balance all of the schoolwork and like keeping myself alive, but it's going to happen, you know, like we're going to get it done, and it's going to be good. I'm excited to start meeting people. I'm a little bit ashamed to admit that I have yet to ring a bell in this country. It's going to happen though. I'm thinking Thursday is maybe the day I'll go, so it'll be soon. But yeah, I'm excited to see what London has in store. But in the final part of this video, I'd like to leave you with some footage that I took this week. as well as a little ambient music that I thought was very seasonally appropriate.